Morning, peeps. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, everyone is doing well. Let's see what there is to talk about this morning. We probably will, I'm guessing, at some point talk about Joshua Fury again. I did make a quick video yesterday talking about it, but we know a few more details now, so we might touch on it again. Also, I have launched some merchandise, people. You probably will see it in a couple of days underneath YouTube, like you do. So I have done it with Teespring. I didn't want to do it with Teespring, if I'm honest with you, just from a creative standpoint. They're very limited. But this initial batch of things that I've designed is very, I've kept it simple. That's the word I'm thinking. Yeah, I've kept it simple. I didn't want to do anything crazy and elaborate now. I have got a guy that's helping me, a subscriber actually, it's helping me design a few kind of crazy pieces. So those will drop soon. But yeah, go and check it out. It will come underneath soon, but for now, I put the link in the description. Tell me what you think of the logo, the designs. Again, I've tried to keep it simple. I'm quite simple. People might say I'm not because of this chair, but I'm actually quite a simple person. So I've tried to reflect that. But go and check it out. Tell me what you think, and honest feedback. Honest feedback. I mean, Teespring is something where you can just press delete just like that. So yeah, Teespring for now. I do like the way it looks. I have to be honest with you. I'm not just saying that. I do like the way it looks, but you guys can check it out anyway and tell me what you think. All right, let's jump into some news. Have a bit of coffee first. By the way, how's the weather changed? It's gone really shit all of a sudden. I am now desperate for the gyms to open. Desperate. Like, I've got a bit of weights here and I'm trying, I'm still doing it. Obviously, I've lost a bit of weight, but I'm trying to do my weights. I've got a spin bike, I'm trying to do that. I'm jogging. I just need the gym to open, man. Fucking hell. Desperately. For various reasons. But yeah, can the gym open? And I don't think the gyms are going to, I think the gyms are going to be the last things to open, right? I mean, it makes sense, right, for it to be the last thing. So I don't expect the gyms to open until like fucking October. Like, yeah, October. But I am seeing some gyms open, like around the world. Other gyms are opening, but I think the UK is going to be the last place. All right, what's this one? Andre Ward. A lot of FROCHs big fights could have gone, could have easily gone the other way. Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true about Carl Froch. But that's not bad thing, right? I mean, if you're fighting the top guys, these fights are supposed to be close, and they are going to be competitive, right? Unless you are supremely talented, where you separate yourself from the pack. And Carl Froch isn't supreme. I like him, but he's not supremely talented. That no one's going to say he is. Then he's going to be in tough fights. But I think it says something about Carl Froch that he's always able to get over the line, just about to get over the line. I mean, Andre Durrell was a tough fight, got over the line. Some people thought it could have gone either way. I thought Carl Froch done enough. John Pascal early was a tough fight. Glenn Johnson, a tough fight. Mikael Kessler, the second one and the first one, right? He lost the first one, but the second one, tough fight. So I don't think there's any shame in the big fights going either way, or they could have gone either way. I just think it's a good thing that he was in the big fights, had those big fights, and somehow prevailed. So I think if Andre Ward's trying to have a dig at Carl Froch, I don't think it's a dig. I don't think you can dig someone for being in big fights. We're screaming for these fighters of this generation to be in big fights. So having a dig at someone for having close big fights, for me, is just yeah, doesn't matter, if I'm honest with you. What's this? Fury believes he will really damage Hearn Matchroom by beating Joshua. It's an interesting statement. I mean, it goes like Joshua is obviously the king of Matchroom, right? I mean, it's Joshua and then there's a massive drop off. But I think that's like most promotional stables, right? It's CANELO, then a massive drop off. Like most. I think PBC have kind of about 8 or 9 guys that are all kind of the same. So that's good, right? Because what you don't want is like that. Whereas PBC seem to have quite a few guys that I don't know. I thought like their pay-per-views would be quite similar. So I guess Matchroom do need to look for that next star. Who is that next star? I mean, who's the second biggest draw in Matchroom? Dillian White? Yeah, Dillian White. Then Chisora. It's the heavyweights, isn't it? I mean, but Chisora's coming to the end. It's not like Dillian White is sort of a spring chicken either. Obviously, they've gone over to Matchroom US. I know they're going to try and do Matchrooms around the world now. So I don't think it's the same position as it would have been a couple of years ago, where if you kill Joshua, that's a bit harsh, but if you beat Joshua, then that's it for Matchroom. I think Matchroom brand is a bit bigger now, but you do have to sort of wonder who is the next star. Who is the next star for Matchroom? I think they would have hoped it would have been people like Josh Kelly for that kind of Newcastle region. They hoped Lewis Ritson was going to do something. When they tried to fast track him, he got beat. Joshua Boatsi. Could Boatsi be the guy? Don't think so. I think Boatsi's going to be solid. I think he's going to do solid numbers, but I don't see him as a big ticket seller just because, I don't know, he's very laid back in his personality, isn't it? And some people don't sort of latch onto that. Akoli, don't think so. I think they would have hoped as well that Katie Taylor could have done something similar to what some of the girls in the UFC are doing, right? I think that would have been the hope with Katie Taylor, that she can emulate kind of the numbers that Ronda Rousey was pulling in, or Holly Holm was pulling in, or Chris Cyborg to an extent, but mainly Ronda Rousey. It just hasn't happened for female boxing, has it? It hasn't happened at all. It's in a better place than it was a few years back, a much better place. But in terms of Katie Taylor being a pay-per-view star, it's not, I don't know, just not worked out. Again, it might be a personality thing. Ronda Rousey had that personality, didn't she? Hence why she's probably done okay in the WWE. Katie Taylor doesn't. So, I don't know, man. For as big as Matchroom is, they don't have many sort of crossover stars, do they? Can't think of one. Like up and coming. Who? Can't think of one. So they need to look at that, right? Because again, the drop-off from Joshua is big. Can't think of one. But, you know, it's difficult, right? Because they would have hoped that some people would have become that. Again, Josh Kelly, maybe even Charlie Edwards, right? When he became champion, but obviously lost it, and then he's moved on now to Frank Warren. Could Josh Warrington do something? Don't know. It's a good discussion, that. Who knows? What's this one? Team USYK prepared to stand firm on mandatory status in lieu of Fury Joshua talks. Obviously, USYK is mandatory to face AJ, providing. Well, it's not even providing he gets past Chisora, because Chisora is not like a final eliminator. He's just mandatory. He's just choosing to fight Chisora. Now, don't know. I guess it all comes down to when that Chisora fight is. Because look, they're talking about Joshua Fury, the first one. And look, we'll talk a bit more about this, but they're talking about Joshua Fury, the first one, being sort of this time next year. When is Usyk going to fight Chisora? March, maybe? February, March, the earliest? Depending upon when crowds are allowed back. I'm thinking crowds are going to be allowed back around February, March. So if he were to beat Chisora, then he would want his shot immediately. Boy, I don't know. But we all know as well, by the way, that an undisputed does trump a mandatory, right? So I can't imagine, what belt is it? The WBA, is it? Is it WBA? Is it WBA or WBA? I can't remember. But I think you can't imagine the WBA, if it is the WBA, saying, okay, yeah, we're going to force this mandatory on you rather than let Joshua fight an undisputed. I guess the problem is the 2-fight deal. Like, the 2-fight deal holds up the division a lot. I hate this, but I'm guessing they've got to do the 2-fight deal just because of, because obviously a lot of money, but more because of all the networks involved, right? I mean, we know that Tyson Fury has a contract with ESPN, so they would want one fight in America, no doubt. They would also want one fight maybe in Wembley or Saudi Arabia. So you've got to please a lot of people, hence why you do a 2-fight deal. Because really and truly, just get one done and let's see what happens, right? But because they've got to please a lot of networks, a lot of people, a lot of cooks in the kitchen on this one, they've done a 2-fight deal. But that holds up the other mandatories. It holds up Dillian White. It holds up USYK. It holds up the heavyweight division, if I'm honest with you. I don't like it personally, but that's what they've got to do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with USYK. All right, what's this? Okay, more from Fury. I have to smash Wilder's face, then I'll annihilate Joshua. Will he annihilate Joshua? What do you think, people? I'm an AJ fan. You guys know this. I don't pretend to not be. But I also am a boxing fan. I'm not blind. Do I think Fury will annihilate Joshua? No, I don't think Fury will annihilate Joshua at all, if I'm honest with you. Do I think he beats Joshua? I've always openly said, yeah, I think Fury beats Joshua. Again, I'm not going to let my like for Joshua cloud my judgment here, but I think it's a tough, bloody fight. I really do. Joshua is a much better boxer than Deontay Wilder, right? So, look, Joshua isn't a better boxer than Fury, but Joshua is a much better boxer than Deontay Wilder. Joshua also has punch power. I think that's almost been forgotten, maybe because he hasn't sort of knocked out anyone in his last 2 fights. Obviously, Ruiz, he got beat, and the last one went to points. Joshua is a powerful puncher, the second hardest hitter, I think, in the heavyweight division. Joshua is also very big. Wilder got bullied, right? He got bullied a bit because of his size. He's tall, but he's very skinny. He got bullied a bit. Joshua isn't going to get bullied like that because Joshua is a big guy, especially if Joshua comes in a bit heavy. So, look, I do think Fury beats him, but we've seen Joshua been able to stick to a game plan. Obviously, he changed up ideas when he fought Ruiz the second time round. So, look, it's a tough fight, you know. It's a tough fight. It's got everyone going back and forth, which is why we want to see it, which is why the fight's going to do so well, which is why the fight's going to break some pay-per-view records, especially over here, just because it's not that easy a fight to pick. It really isn't. If anyone thinks that, oh, Fury's just going to go in there and wipe the floor with Joshua, ain't going to happen. It really isn't going to happen. Joshua isn't... I'm watching this. Look, it's funny because I think Deontay Wilder could beat Joshua, but I also think Joshua can cause Fury problems. So there's a bit of a triangle here, but it's... Joshua ain't no bum, you know. Joshua ain't no bum. Joshua can fight people. He's big, he's strong, good jab, good left hook, good uppercut. So we'll see. Let's hope that it happens. Right now, a year away, it's difficult for anyone to get excited. I was a bit excited yesterday. I made a video about it. But now I've slept on it. It's like we are so far away. Like there's so many hurdles. So many, right? For example, what USYK has said there, is that going to be a problem? Is Dillian White going to chuck a spanner in the works? Deontay Wilder is still there, right? Kubrat Pulev is still there. Where's the fight going to take place? I mean, if Joshua does beat Pulev but takes a beating in that fight, I mean, is it still an attractive fight? Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's still a few things to get over before we see these guys walk out. There's a lot to get over. All right, what's this one? Charles Martin to Joshua. Arise, Sir Charles. Drop the IBF belt. Let me fight Pulev for the vacant title. Yeah, Charles Martin, for those of you that don't know. So Pulev's ranked #1. Charles Martin is #2. So if there was any instance of AJ dropping a belt, it would be Pulev versus Charles Martin. I like Charles Martin. I like the rebirth of Charles Martin. He's gone away. He obviously made quite a bit of money, a lot of money for the AJ fight. Hence why he came over, just because he made more money than AJ in that fight. He's gone away, had a bit of time out the ring, had some problems outside the ring, I believe. Fought Kalnaki, good performance, lost but good performance, beat Gerald Washington, and now he's back. I mean, now he's back. Now he's actually making these, like, he's able to kind of say things like this because for a lot of people, he's now, again, a top 20, top 15 fighter. He's back, people. Who did he beat after Kalnaki? Gregory Corbin, disqualification. I can't remember how that fight played out. Daniel Martz and now Gerald Washington. And now he's ranked #2 with the IBF. Arise, Sir Charles, arise. What's this? Caleb Plant. I'm in conversation for Canelo fight. They have to come correct. Okay. I don't know what correct means. I'm guessing you mean correct by financially they have to come correct. A lot of these boxers, boy. Like, a lot of these boxers, they want that lottery ticket, don't they? They want good money. Again, maybe I see it so wrong, and maybe, you know, I need to start speaking to boxers on this channel. Because again, I look at it as in you might have to take low ball money, right? Canelo comes to you, you're going to have to take low ball money. If you're that confident you beat him, you take his power. That's the way I look at it. I really do. I really look at it like that. I mean, again, Andy Ruiz is a good example. Remember, Andy Ruiz wasn't the first option. A couple of fighters turned that fight down, I believe, before Andy Ruiz. Luis Ortiz, we know. I think Kalnaki as well. Andy Ruiz took it for what some might consider lower money. I still think it's the highest he's ever made, but still might consider it lower money. Took AJ's head, took his power, earned a huge amount of money in the rematch. And now everyone knows who Andy Ruiz is. Fact. Before it was, oh, who's this fat Mexican kid? Now everyone knows who Andy Ruiz is. You go and you fight Canelo, you might get low ball, right? You might the first time round. It gets you out there. Even in a loss, gets you out there. You brand, everything. Everyone starts knowing who you are because a Canelo fight is one of the biggest fights of the year. But you beat him. You're that confident, Mr. Plant, Mr. Billy Joe Saunders, Mr. Smith, Mr. Benavidez, Mr. whoever. You beat him. You take his head. Like in the rematch, it's more than a lottery ticket. It's more, right? It's more. But some of these fighters, I mean, but no, I wonder how confident they actually are of beating him. They all want the biggest paycheck initially. I do wonder how confident are these guys that they can beat Canelo, because the way they talk, it doesn't sound confident at all. Keith Thurman, once Corona hit, I knew all I need is one fight this year. Keith Thurman, did he fight? Pac-Man was last year, right? Pac-Man, Keith Thurman, I'm pretty sure. It was, wasn't it? Keith Thurman ain't fighting this year. Keith Thurman ain't fighting this year. Yeah. His Pac-Man fight was 20th of July. So it'll be nearly a year since he's fought. I don't know. No fights in 2018. One fight in 2017. One fight in 2016. Two fights in 2015. Keith Thurman has been a part-time fighter for 5 years. A part-time fighter for 5 years. I don't know. And it's not like we're talking a career. Everyone's different, right? Everyone. But it's not like we're talking a career of 50 fights here, or 45, 30 fights he's had. I don't know, man. His heart's just not in boxing at all. Not at all. Like, again, the way the others are talking, I mean, you look at Errol Spence, the way he's talking right now. Errol Spence is just, he wants to go. He's like a dog on a leash. He wants to go. And that's a guy that had a life-threatening car accident. Sean Porter's ready, right? Danny Garcia, you hear these people, they're all talking, give me a fight, Kell Brook. Maybe Keith Thurman just made such good money from the Manny Pacquiao fight, it's difficult to motivate yourself to come back again. Maybe that's all he wanted. I wanted to see him at that time versus Errol Spence. And he kept on sort of dodging the question, didn't he? Like, it's a give back year. I need to get better. I need to get healthy. Then I'll fight Errol Spence. It's always just a give back year. What else we got here? Anything else of interest before we wrap up? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I wish this was like a two-way conversation. I am going to do sit down with Rob Tebbett. I say sit down. We're going to do something via Zoom. It would be good to hear what Rob Tebbett of Boxing Social says about this. I'm going to do something for his channel as well. What do you guys make of this, the Joshua Fury thing? So where we are right now is that terms have been agreed. Now, again, I personally think that's the hardest thing to do in boxing, right? That's the difficult thing, money. Everyone wants to know exactly what they're getting, and that always stops big fights from happening. A lot of people are like, it means very little. I disagree with that. I can understand why people say that, just because, again, we're talking 12 months away. We're talking Usyk, we're talking Dillian White, we're talking Wilder, we're talking Pulev, we're talking injuries, we're talking someone like not looking great in a fight. We're talking so many things that could make the fight, even if it does happen, make it not as big as it should be. Like right now, it's prime time, right? Anything else, you're rolling the dice. And I've always said this, keep rolling the dice and your numbers won't come up. Right now, their numbers are up, right? They've got their hand. But that could change. This is boxing. Anything could change. Anything. We saw coronavirus this year, for fuck's sake. I mean, that kind of changed everything. So it's difficult to get too excited. But I guess what it does do is it closes that door on that chat that, oh, AJ's scared, doesn't want to fight Fury, or Fury's scared, doesn't want to fight AJ, all that kind of chat. Even though it was very little on Fury's side, but there's a lot on AJ's side that AJ's scared of fighting Fury. It closes that chat. I mean, I've always said these guys are boxers. They're not built like us. They will fight, right? Providing the terms are right, the money's right, everything's right, they will fight. They're built a bit different. So that, I guess that chapter's closed. I just pray to see it, right? I mean, that's how desperate we are as boxing fans. We don't get to see these big fights, right? UFC fans must be fucking spoiled. Like, if you're just an MMA fan and you obviously just follow the UFC, you don't really follow the other sort of MMA companies, so Bellator, 1FC, etc. You just must feel spoiled when you hear of what we as boxing fans go through, to the point where we go crazy about a fight being announced and it won't happen for another year, and there are several hurdles to overcome. They must think, why the fuck are these guys getting so excited when they have a fight announced? Barring injury, that fight happens, no doubt. But we are like all salivating from the mouth, like, oh, please, yes, yes. And we are a year away. I don't know, man. I don't know. Fingers crossed it happens. But for now, I reserve judgment. I think that's the wrong thing. I don't know what I was saying there. I think it's time to go. Peace.